Do you know the name of this dish? I didn't. I'm not much of a foodie, but it's a Belgian stew made from a soup base of egg yolk, cream, and thickened vegetable broth, and contains carrots, onions, celeriac, leeks, potatoes, and other herbs. It's often made with chicken, but was originally made with fish. That's a funny coincidence, since this dish is perhaps the most legendary play in Scrabble history and was also made possible with an incredible fish. In June 1995, 28 of the best Scrabble players in the country convened in Euless, Texas to qualify for Team US at the World Scrabble Championship. One of the players vying for a precious spot was Arizona's Jim Geary, who spent most of the 1990s as one of the top ranked players in the country, reaching a peak ranking of second overall. I consider him to be one of the best players never to win a national or world championship. He's also an accomplished chess and poker player with a $200,000 cash at the World Series of Poker to his name. With only 11 total games in the tournament, each game is critically important. Jim's hopes take a big hit with an opening round loss, but he wins the next three to move up to 3-1. In round 5, he faces longtime Texan expert Darrell Day, who is also 3-1. With most of the game complete, Jim finds himself in this position, down by 90 points on a deadlocked board. There's almost nowhere to bingo with a 7 or 8 letter word, and the few weak spots that remain won't score anywhere near enough points. To make matters worse, Jim's tiles are also poor, with the bingo unfriendly B and W both on his rack. He could try to shed them both with plays like web or elbow, but these plays don't open any new space on the board. Jim needs to create a threat at the base of the board, which is the only area where bingos might still fit. But even after such a play, Darrell will be hell-bent on blocking the new opening. So not only does Jim need to make a threat, but he needs to do so while also preserving some outside chance of hitting a miracle play somewhere else on the board. So, what did Jim play here? He made the simple fishing play of B, hooking the B onto a bye to make baby for 17 points. As a quick aside, a fish in Scrabble is when you play a relatively small number of tiles, typically just 1 or 2, in order to keep most of your tiles together for a bingo. Usually this is done with very strong bingo tiles, but in desperate situations late in a game like this, players might fish for 1 or 2 very specific words. Back to the game. Jim's play of B creates a dangerous threat at the base of the board along the triple word lane, where bingos would score upwards of 80 points. But B hooks with many of the remaining tiles in the bag, so Darrell is essentially guaranteed to have a good play of his own in that spot that scores well and blocks the lane. From Jim's point of view, there are 17 tiles unseen to him before his play of B. 7 on Darrell's rack, and 10 left in the tile bag. These tiles include 1A and 2 Ts. So, of the 136 two-tile combinations you can draw from those 17 available tiles, 2 of them are AT, giving him 1 in 68 chances of drawing those 2 tiles. Here is the genius of Jim's play. If Jim draws exactly AT, he will threaten the unbelievable play of Water Zooey through the Z and O at the top of the board. This is the Belgian stew I mentioned at the outset of the video. But if you're like me and had never seen or heard of Water Zooey before, this word looks completely absurd. It's exactly the sort of play that Jim needs here. A 92-point bingo through a totally obstructed portion of the board, and a word so bizarre that Darrell might be tempted to challenge it and lose his turn. Keep in mind that from Darrell's point of view, he needs to maximize his winning margin, or spread, by as much as he can. In Tournament Scrabble, the cumulative margin of victory is used as a tiebreaker, and in qualifying tournaments just like this in previous years, the margin of victory decided who made the US team and who would stay home. Daryl knows that in a scenario like this, Jim could easily try making up a word out of thin air to exploit the fact that Daryl will be nearly unable to challenge. So, Jim plays B, and incredibly, he hits his 1 in 68 chance of drawing AT. As expected, Daryl blocks the bottom of the board. The exact word that he played has been lost to memory, but it was a 6-tile play scoring in the 40s, likely something like thrive or thieve. Jim then plays Water Zooey for 92 points, and believing that Jim is pulling a fast one, Daryl challenges to preserve his spread. In my opinion, this is a reasonable decision given the circumstances. But amazingly, the word is valid, and Daryl loses his next turn. Jim then draws the final 2 tiles from the bag, an N and a K, and plays out with ink for 14 points. Even then, he hasn't taken the lead yet until Daryl's unplayed tiles are added onto Jim's score. So, what did Jim do here? He saw the possibility of Water Zooey well in advance, made the correct fish of B on the previous turn, setting up a diversion, hit the improbable 1 in 68 draw of AT, earned an extra turn from Daryl on the lost challenge, and narrowly won the game on his final move. Truly amazing. Though Jim temporarily preserved his chances of qualifying for the 1995 World Championship with this incredible game, he went on to lose his next 3 games and failed to qualify for the Worlds that year, finishing with a 6-5 record. But he did go on to represent the U.S. in the next 4 World Championships after that, and more importantly, his play of Water Zooey is considered to be one of the best plays in Scrabble history. Well, that does it for my first episode of Scrabble History, but I hope to do many more. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel for more Scrabble content. It helps me out a lot. And if you have a suggestion for another Scrabble History video topic, feel free to leave it as a comment as well. Thank you so much for watching.